Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Running in Circles podcast. In today's episode, we have Nirmit with us, who is appearing for the second time. And for the first time in this podcast, we also have Karthik. Hello, guys.
Ooh. Hi,
Yep.
Pallav.
Hi, Palla.
Yes, hello. So in today's episode, we'll talk about self doubt, inner talk, not feeling confident about your skills. So to start off the episode, I'd like to say, what are the times that you've doubted yourself, Karthik?
Yeah. But that I even doubted myself if I would come to this podcast because you're
I
asking me to
know it
talk
was
about.
so hard to convince you. Yeah.
Um, so I mean, mainly it's sort of started around when I was in the sophomore year of my college,
Hmm.
where I'm coming into this new space because all through my first to 12th standard, I've sort of been in the same school, same set of people. But yeah, I was confident about myself because I know I could get the marks or whatever. Because that's how our life has been around. Marks mil gaya to life set hai. And now I'm coming to this new space. Like I did not have even one common friend from my school or anything when I came to college. So
Hmm.
everything was completely new. And then I was that fourth iteration guy. Like you
Hmm.
guys used to make fun of 285 I got in bits at, so I shouldn't be in bits. Um, so seeing everyone you know, everyone there was about like 300 stuff. All of you are single degree people. People who could afford single degrees took dual degree and came because they wanted computer science. And me barely got the dual degree. And it was like, will I be able to survive in this place?
Hmm.
Okay. That's one part of it. And secondly, it was the amount of talent that was there. Like um I had some amount of talent. Like I could draw well. I took about singing classes and stuff. So थोड़ा
Hmm.
बहुत कुछ किया मैंने life में, but I didn't think I was on par with the people who were there who could do stuff there.
Yeah.
So that's where everything started, I would say. Yeah.
Hmm. What's your story, Nirvit?
Yeah, I mean, similar trajectory, but all the teenage movies that you watched where you're in school and it's all about appearances and oh, if this guy, whatever this guy, if this guy is good looking enough or this
Yeah.
girl is
Yeah.
pretty enough. Luckily, that phase was over when I came to college, and I was only insecure about like academics and stuff. But yeah, I think college played a huge. I think just entering college was because there are so many people and you have no idea how they are going. They've written the same exam as you, so you know how exactly they've done. But you also know that once they come to college, everyone is going to have their own ambitions and stuff, and it's very
Correct.
competitive as well. So then it
Absolutely.
naturally brings this self doubt. I mean, not every day maybe, but like when people start and going through the years, like first time maybe it will be just about getting into clubs or talking about exams, and then by
Hmm.
second and third year it becomes about SIs and internships and even thesis. Like people used to compete when it came to thesis also,
Yeah.
and they used to say, "Oh, I got a reply from this from what about you?" So
Hmm.
again, like it wasn't too bad, but it naturally brings this. You start thinking about, oh, what did I do? Today, what did I do? This guy is doing this or this, whatever. He's making
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
brilliant, whatever formula with some professor, whatever. What did I do? So yeah, I think college is very um, it's competitive, of course, but it also every day there will be something or the other that will make you go, अरे अब मैंने तो ये नहीं किया तो like
Hmm.
अगर वो कर रहा है तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर रहा हूँ और मैं क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ whatever. So yeah, every day of college and like I said, obviously, I mean we were all sort of way past that teenage phase, but even then it brings into like I remember
Sort of self doubt.
just yeah, just clubs. I think clubs in general, like people were sidelined. Like again, I can't claim to be a victim of anything, but people were sidelined because of the way they talked, or maybe they didn't speak enough English. Stupid reasons like not their English not being good enough, or whatever.
Hmm.
So it was,
It's
so I can't
also
imagine.
it was also about being in the right circle sometimes. Like if you don't
Yeah,
know the
like
person,
it was
Yeah.
very snobbish and snooty, and maybe I didn't realize it because maybe I was on one side or the other. But I can't imagine the self-doubt that other people went through just because they were sidelined, whatever. Same way.
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, like coming back to the point of academics, like being a dual degree student, people who could afford a single degree coming to dual degree, I was like, what are these people? I
Yeah.
mean, what,
That's a
why,
weird.
why are they here? I mean, मेरे को भाई डिग्री मिल रहा है तुम लोग मतलब मिला होगा तुम्हें डिग्री क्या कर रहे हो
Yeah.
and
That's a different thing
yeah even that was
altogether.
a pressure yeah so that doubt is going on and because you want to get a degree you won't join clubs for your first year because you have to focus yourself in academics whatever.
Yeah. Uh, all right. So to talk about the times that I've experienced self doubt, it would be very pretty similar to what you guys said. Self doubt usually arises from the situations when there's usually like a group involved, like you are with a lot of with a bunch of people, and then you have to prove yourself to get ahead of them, with respect to getting into clubs or academic wise. So I would say that you know in school there wasn't a lot many instances when we experienced that thing, because uh, more often than not everyone does well in school, right? So uh, and the stakes aren't high enough in school to experience such self-doubt, but then the moment you step into college, the whole your whole world becomes like a new thing, and uh, you know stuff gets serious, like as Nirmit said, you're competing to get internships or get a thesis for yourself, or just do well in academics, because it really matters in college. So I remember there's one particular story that uh, uh, like it was one of those days where I was just very tired from a day of college, and I'd called up one of my school friends, asking him that, talking to him that I'm pretty tired, that my semester exams are coming up, and there's a lot been taught that I don't understand. And then he used to tell me that it's fine, no, just study one day in advance and you're good to go. And I'm like, I can't really relate to that, because one day in exam and going studying one day in advance and then going to an exam doesn't work in my college, because you have to
We have
you know
tried though. That's all I can say. We
yeah,
have
we've,
tried
we've
it.
tried, it didn't work. But yeah, I
I
mean,
mean it works based on what level of achievement you want to just get
yeah,
over with it works 100% I mean
correct,
foolproof but
correct. But
if you want to be
Yeah,
a gold
fully.
medalist
It
that
it worked. It worked, man. I have a degree today.
I mean I'm going to get a degree in 6 months so it's the same thing yeah
yeah, so where was I? So yeah, when my friend said that just study one day in advance and you'll easily get like a 9 pointer or something, I'm like, that doesn't happen. 9 pointer is very rare. You have to attend more 90% of the classes to get that. So that was a time that I doubted myself. Am I like good enough for studying with Pilani and stuff? So yeah. So moving on, how have you felt in the situations that you've doubted yourself? Like, has it burdened you, or has it motivated you to do better? What about that?
first of all it's like a spiraling down feeling because you start connecting dots that sort of make you feel more and more bad it's like a recursive loop in itself
Hmm.
but um okay like you said there are two sides to this coin you either get something like get inspiration from something and do something to get out of the spiral or just think that you're at the bottom of the well and this like you can't go back up um you, you can't immediately decide like if you're in the state you first have to realize you're in the state like sometimes you're still within the self-loathing thing where you don't realize कि मतलब भाई क्या हो रहा है मतलब you have to do something about it But um, this sort of went on in like the first year. Like you guys know me in first, and I was like pretty chill about it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, "Bhai CS nahi mila to mar jayega," something like that. So, uh, but yeah, in the end, I got CS, even though I had a pretty bad second semester grade. Thanks to whoever fluked their exams. I mean, thanks to them. But um, I don't know. Like, it's sometimes difficult to. You can't give a universal answer for every situation. It's like it depends on what you want to do. It also depends on the career choice you want to make, if you have to say.
I think in college specifically, like Ringa mentioned, sorry, Karthik mentioned, the trap that and I luckily I realized this pretty early on, since everything is self-initiate, like you everything, right from doing your laundry to going to classes to even like deciding whether or not to study for that exam, everything is self-motivated and everything is like your initiative. Nobody's telling you what to do. So naturally, the outcome of all of these things, you naturally correlate it to your own abilities.
Yeah.
So let's say I start doing something on my own, and let's say I fail at it, or whatever expectation I had of the outcome isn't met, then I automatically just correlate it to saying, oh, that means I mustn't be good. Get it? It's simple things. Like I remember when I was applying for thesis, and this is a very trivial example, but I used to craft this very like beautiful email and resume and all that,
Yeah.
and then I used to send it, and then let's say I didn't get a reply from that professor for a week or two. I was thinking, oh, maybe she read my email and she didn't find me like lucrative enough or attractive enough as a student, and that's why she ignored my email and she doesn't want, get it? So it's very superficial also, but I'm saying since everything is your own responsibility, you will automatically start doubting every single thing that doesn't lead to your favorable outcome. It's the same like if you go to the gym and you're working out 5 days a week, but at the end of 3 months you don't see any of your gains, you will you will just start thinking, अरे कुछ नहीं किया, डाइट नहीं किया मैंने ऐसे उस दिन वो शुगर खा लिया था. So it's very natural, but it's very important to not fall into that trap. Like on a
Yes.
as in a pro- in on a like an average probability or whatever, you won't have a lot of the things that you wanted, but that does not mean that it's your fault or you are lacking in some way. It's and yeah, I think when you're an adult, everything is going to be your initiative, but that doesn't mean that the outcome is also your fault or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect. When it's self-initiated, instead of waking up at 6 a.m., if you wake up at 10 a.m., you're already lost the day by thinking, oh man, I've wasted 4 hours of my life. Maybe I'm useless completely or something like that. So yeah, it is the effect, yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's a nice thing that you figured out pretty early on. But I figured this out in like somewhere around second, third, or fourth year. So I'll tell this really simple example that from which I learned that. So I'd written this one email to a professor for thesis. I had written like a nice, well crafted email, as you said, and I sent that, but I wasn't getting a lot of replies. So naturally, you start blaming it on yourself that your your research experience isn't that good enough, or your email wasn't that good enough. But then when you get a reply from them, like one or 2 months later, saying that sorry, we don't have any open positions, that's the time that I realize, oh, that you've simply been doubting yourself. It's none of your fault, or you know the professors are just too busy with their lives, and it's not like they didn't like your profile that much. It's just that they've been busy with other stuff, or they don't have any open positions or stuff like that. So yeah, when during the situations that you've been in, what sort of inner talk do you have with yourself?
That's something I've not figured out. Um, like even Nirmit said, early on he got to know that everything is self-motivated in life after a phase. That's something I've still not figured out. Um, I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I have to admit this. I've been pretty lucky since like the college has started because I got the degree I wanted. Sort of guided through the college life with ups and downs in my grades, and finally I've sort of landed a decent job. Um, so till now, all of it has been a little bit of hard work and a little bit of luck. I can't deny the luck part, but um, it's still taking me time to wrap my head around that everything is self motivated because in this in this gigantic time in which the universe exists, in which we are a small fraction, but it doesn't matter if I have a job or not, right? But still, everything has to be self motivated. I have to get this to survive, etc., etc., etc. So I feel like um, I've not learned the part yet. But inner talk, um, I don't know. I like throw down a roadmap of what I want to do in life when I get my shit together or something. Like um, a good approach would be to take out things that you don't want to do immediately and focus on the stuff you have to do. But like building a roadmap sort of helps for the initial bit of a run, and then that sort of helps.
Mm.
Yeah, I think, I mean, not just in a college environment, but everywhere in life. I think the one thing that I've always, I mean, I'm lucky to have like learned early on is that there is zero point in comparing yourself to anyone. It doesn't matter if you were delivered in the hospital room next to that person and everything is the same since then. It is a pointless exercise. And there's
Yeah.
that book, I don't know if I can mention it. Whatever. Okay, it's that orange book which has a whatever profanity. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, by Mark Manson. And it's genuinely there is no point because and I learned this in college. Every single person, literally in for example in Phoenix or Triple E or whatever, they used to like measure the number of I don't know hours that the other person is to study and then judge their own effort by it. I know people who said, "Oh, are ye to raat bhar pada. Oh, that must mean even I should stay up tonight and study before the exam." It doesn't matter. Your trajectory will never be. And again, since it's self-initiated, why? If you know that everything is a result of your own actions, why not take the chance to do something for yourself and uniquely, right? Like there is no point in saying no point in doubting yourself because of someone else's action. I can completely understand that you want to self improve and all of that, and that's all fine. But don't do it because someone else is doing it and you see that you see them doing well. That's no reason for you to start anything in life. It might be the best thing that they're doing, but that does not mean that that's what you are lacking in. And it doesn't stop in college. I'm pretty sure everyone in a work environment or even later on will realize there's I mean you'd much rather do things on your own and be proud of it rather than just keep looking at someone else and say, oh, okay, he's done that, now I'll do this. So yeah.
I feel like Nirmit's like the one who's giving the answers to the questions that we're discussing.
But it's
Yeah,
always
but like,
helped.
see,
Like it
um, uh, the inner talk sort of is different from like person to person. Like, if you're feeling bad and self-doubting based on comparison, then you would tell yourself not to like compare with other people. But the self-doubt starts from saying कि मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Like I have set a very high bar for myself, and what I achieve is like one third of it. You obviously feel bad, and that's when you like start designing sort of this roadmap and stuff to see मतलब कितना और आगे पहुंचना है. Like you still haven't graduated college, but you want to be the Elon Musk. Elon Musk graduated college and then
Yeah.
created PayPal and all of this stuff. Like there's a gap in his life as well where he took stuff because this kind of comparison, this kind of high goals is where my self doubt starts, and that's why I need to create like a sort of a roadmap. Whereas in Nirmit stuff, he turned out that he might be comparing himself to another person, and then he's coming back to say that comparison is not going to solve anything because the circumstances that he's gone through, the circumstances that this guy's gone through. I don't know if it's the exact sentence from the book that he's mentioned, but yeah, the circumstances differ from one person to another. So you can't really compare people.
No, and like Ringa said, you are, if you think about it, since you're this tiny speck in this whole entire universe, and even in terms of time, the I mean, your trajectory is going to be unique anyway, right? So
Yeah.
when your self-doubt stems from the fact that you are not enough, why do you think that Elon Musk thinks that he's enough? Nobody has it all figured out, and I can say that for a fact. Like people think, oh, it's consolation for people who are going through things. Nobody has it all figured out. I mean, Elon Musk is still going today because he doesn't have it all figured out. If he had it all figured out, he'd be even more successful.
Yeah.
So he's
Oh,
also
just
he
for
goes
the
to work
audience,
every day, and
the book that you're mentioning is it starts with the subtle art, right? Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
orange in color. You'll recognize.
the subtle art of book being in orange color by Mahatma. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah. So nobody has it all figured out. So if you think, and again, I think we're failing to acknowledge that self-doubt is very normal. I don't think you can avoid it. I don't think you can escape it. So that it's normal, and nobody has it all figured out. So it's okay.
Yeah. So, you know, to personally to talk about uh, what the inner talk that I usually do is, it's not more of an inner talk. It's more like I need to train my mind to get more discipline, and this is not purely from comparison point of view, or uh, doubting your capabilities. It's just that when you have certain expectations from yourself and you don't match those, that's a time that you want to do better for yourself. And that's a time that I like to make myself more disciplined in terms of the goals that I want to achieve, and to get more focus um towards that. So it's not more of an inner talk, I would say. It's more of this uh what do you say, this ethic and discipline that I need to build. Like for a simple example, like let's say, as you said, you want to gain, you want to you do gymming for 3 months, you don't see the gains, and you know you just got to be more disciplined to achieve that. So I would say that that not gymming, but the other things that I've wanted to do, I feel like sometimes when I've done this activity, or like made myself more focused towards getting something, I feel that has worked out for me more often than not. So that's something that I usually do. So moving on to the last part of this conversation, Ringa mentioned this one really nice thing, that self-doubt usually comes from the expectations that you set for yourself. So uh, what uh, what sort of expectations do you set for yourself, and has it do you feel you know uh, determined to achieve that goal, or has it pressurized you you know to achieve that?
So the thing with yeah, so the thing with setting goals is um, there's an achievable goal, and then there's one that you dream of. An achievable goal is
Getting more rich than
पाँच
Elon Musk.
yeah, so the achievable goal is sort of 5 साल में graduate कर लेंगे, but a more dreamy goal is becoming the first trillionaire of the world because you want to be on the Forbes #1 list.
Yeah.
What happens is, see, that's a meaningful goal. Okay, you want to in this vast speck of in this tiny speck of the entire timeline, you want to be recognized forever because you'll be on the Forbes #1 list and you'll never go off history's books. But that's a very, very far away goal. It takes you a number of steps. If you don't have these steps figured out, or if you don't have a roadmap for these steps, then that goal will never be achievable. And every day you don't become a trillionaire, you will feel very bad about yourself. That's the idea. And that could come down to simple like a thesis. You want a thesis at the end of your 4th year. You have a little bit of research experience, but you never write an email to a prof thinking that you won't get accepted. I mean, you haven't done anything there, and your self-doubt keeps compounding, saying, "Matlab, I might not be good, I might not be good, I might not be good." You write one email, they don't respond back to you. That adds to the
Correct.
compounded self-doubt. And then you like, एक email, like you wrote one mail to like the best prof, the prof doesn't respond. Maybe he's busy, or maybe you're actually bad.
Or maybe
But
like you should
don't
have
think you're
written an email to
a better email.
uh,
Yeah, so like a new PhD student who became a
correct,
prof who has much more openings.
correct.
So there's a lot of variables to factor in, and for each kind of goal that you want to achieve. So it's not a universal solution that you can give, but if you have a goal, you should sort of work towards it. And of course, like you said, discipline matters. If you're not disciplined enough, also some goals cannot be achieved, like cutting down some weight. You can't do it unless you go to gym daily or unless you don't exercise daily. So everything has its own way of solving itself.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think there is that, I mean, it's great to have all the loftiest goals and the most dreamiest dreams. It's great. I think you've got one life. Please go ahead and dream however you wish to. And just remember that, I mean, since the episode is about self-doubt, you should always remember that there are like a trillion ways to get to that one goal. There is no, I mean, 100 years ago, the richest person genuinely did have like tangible assets that you can, that he could list down and say, okay, this I have this deposit here, whatever. And that was the richest person 100 years ago. But today, the richest person has the least amount of tangible assets, right?
Yeah,
So and I mean, in any way, there are lots. For example, if you want to get to, I don't know, the top of the tech game in the US, for example, most people think, at least at our level, people start with saying, oh, then I must go to this top rated university there. Sure, that's a very, very obvious, like a very obvious path to that. But if you don't get into the university, that does not mean the end of anything, honestly. Sure, you'll have to work a little harder and you'll have to overcome that self doubt, but it doesn't mean that you won't get your goals. So, however you rate yourself and judge yourself, whatever goal you have, it's you can it's like it's like the binary switch case thing. Like you go to something, if this doesn't work out, okay, you go there, and then you start branching out into finally wherever but it will reach that final whatever end game you have. And that self-doubt should not stop you from should not stop you at a certain level saying, oh, if I didn't get through to this university, then that means my end goal will not ever be realized. Because it's not. In most cases, for example, your university won't even matter 5 years down the line. Or
yeah,
something that you failed at in college. Let's say you failed at some course in bits. At that time, I'm sure getting an NC on your transcript would have been the worst thing and
worst
the
thing I do.
biggest problem ever. But now when you think, again, just a disclaimer, I've never gotten an NC, just saying. But but for whoever did, I'm sure it doesn't matter right now anyway. Most people we know in college have gotten a job or been somewhere. So they didn't stop. Nothing will stop you, right? If you keep that end goal in mind, whatever amount of self-doubt or whatever amount of switch cases here and there, they won't be enough to stop you.
Hmm. Yeah. So to talk about expectation, I would say there are two things. One is as what Ringa said. One is one is an achievable goal, and one is a dream. So you can dream as big as you want. That's not a problem. But goal is something that you want to achieve within next 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. So I feel like uh not setting goals, but having a goal in mindset is important to keep you focused. But at the same time, you know making it like setting your goals too high is not good. I'm sure uh, Lewis Hamilton or Roger Federer didn't start their practice doing their karting or playing tennis dreaming of being the greatest of all time. they started with doing the little things right, like doing karting good, playing shots good in terms of their respective cases. So I'd say that setting little milestones, or uh, s- um, setting little goals for yourself in the short future is could really get you places, and can make us all get to our greatest potential.
And being flexible, I think, like being
Yeah.
flexible about those routes. You can take, like I said, like you can take three routes to get to the same place. So it's okay if you just have to, change. I think flexibility is like most people who are surviving and thriving, I think they're flexible enough to like change when it's needed. So
Yeah, absolutely. So like if um yeah, so any last few words before we close this
So
episode?
there's like two parts to a person who is in self-doubt all the time. You can
Mhm.
either quit and start something else that you like, or you can have the perseverance and muster up the courage, have the discipline to go through with it. In my case, most of the times, if I had self-doubt, I would like sort of drop it. With any of the coding projects that I start, if I don't see an improvement or I see even one bug, I'm out. I exit because
Mhm.
I don't like. I'm not. I was not confident enough to take it up. Same with joining some clubs in the college or trying to get a grade in some course. Except for one semester, I don't know why I was very confident. I just did it. But if I had a self-doubt anywhere, I would quit. But if you give me back all of the time, I think I would go and try to fix those things. I would try to muster up the courage, the discipline, and work towards it completely. And on the other hand, if anything that Nirmit had done at the same time, he can also say, because those are only the two sides of the coin. Either you give up and start something new, which is like you're putting back yourself back in square one, or you're working towards it to actually make it, a goal that you can pin on the board of your set of dreams to achieve in life.
Hmm. Nirvit, any
yes, I
words
say same. I
in
think
this?
specifically about with respect to self-doubt, it's very natural. So if you think you're the only one doubting your abilities, being insecure about anything, you're not. It's everyone, every time of the day. But the people that do get through, I mean, you see them. If whoever your heroes are, they've overcome their self-doubt enough to just push through and actually deliver on whatever their goals are. So at the end of the day, it's just an internal thing. So if you tackle the root cause of it, like for example, if you're insecure about your body, or if you feel you're not good enough or whatever in terms of fitness, then what do? You go to the gym, you start running, you start playing a sport, you tackle the root of whatever the problem is. If you think you won't get into the best university or whatever, then you start studying better. You do, like, you work harder. You always know the answer. It's just your self-doubt which is stopping you from even
Yeah,
like taking the next step.
yeah. All right then. It was a great episode. Learned so much from both of you, and I
Likewise,
shall
likewise.
see. Yeah, I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Sure.
Bye.
Thanks for inviting us, Pankaj. Bye.